Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a brief quick video to introduce you to my charity. So in the last 12 months that I've been, as everyone else has been, stuck with coronavirus and indoors, I've been thinking about various things that we can do, and I've done numerous projects in the last 12 months, but one of the key ones is a charity for children. Basically, I moved to South London about 5 years ago, and what I noticed was that there are pockets of wealthy neighborhoods and not so wealthy neighborhoods, and there are a number of children who you see hanging around the streets or hanging around shopping malls or in parks, but many of them come from underprivileged backgrounds who don't have the same sort of life that others do. And I thought, what can we do to make their lives better? And there's so many charities that provide education and other kinds of support to children from underprivileged backgrounds. But one thing that I didn't find was anything to do with the arts world. So I come across these kids who are just walking down the street and singing, and they have beautiful voices. And then you hear about kids who want to become artists and painters or musicians, and so the whole arts world is completely closed off to those who are from poor backgrounds because their parents can barely afford to put them through a normal education. They can't pay for music tuition or arts lessons or things like that. So I thought, what if we create a charity that raises money from people like us, maybe go to the government funding bodies and ask them for funds that we can then put in a pot and link these kids from underprivileged backgrounds to private tutors. Many people are doing private tuition for various arts subjects like music, drama, voice, painting, so many different things that can be done, and we could open up these avenues for kids from these backgrounds who can't normally afford this. As for the teachers who are teaching these art subjects, I think it would be very useful if they got a guaranteed income. So for example, I don't know what the numbers are in terms of how much each one of those lessons would cost, but let's say, for an example, a teacher costs £20 an hour to teach piano. If we go to that tutor and say, look, we are going to guarantee you 3 months or 6 months of income, would you accept £15 an hour? And obviously they get guaranteed 3 months income, so we can then match these students to that individual teacher. So the idea is we're not handing out money to these kids or their families. We have a process where we assess their current situation, their family earnings, and what their previous track record is. And if they're interested, it doesn't have to be that they have had music lessons in the past. Maybe they just want to try it out. Maybe they won't become musicians, but at least they have something to look forward to after their studies. Most of these kids from these underprivileged backgrounds go to school and then they come home and they do their homework, they watch TV, or they hang out with their friends. Whereas the other kids from privileged backgrounds, they would go to play a sport perhaps, they would learn to play an instrument, they would learn to paint, they would learn to do various things which these kids don't have the means to do. And by creating this charity, we are bringing an opportunity to these kids from the underprivileged backgrounds who can then access the same kind of artistic pursuits that the privileged kids can. I'm sure there are plenty of other charities out there who can provide maths or biology or other academic tuitions to kids. But I don't think a kid, after spending 6-7 hours at school, wants to then go home in the evening and then study the same subjects again. Maybe some of them do. It would be a good alternative for them to be able to go and learn something else. and perhaps excel in a different kind of career. And this isn't specifically about race, but I live in a community which is very mixed, black and white, and I noticed that black kids seem to have better voices. I don't know what the reason is, but they seem to sing, and there's so many rappers and musicians who are black, and I think they come from these communities, but it's really hard for everyone to access these things. So it took us a while to register the charity, because I didn't want this to be just a charity, a company that was set up with no legal backing. Anyone can go and register a company and call it a charity, but I wanted to make sure that it was registered with the Charities Commission, it was legal, so everything is done properly by the book, and there's no chance of anyone thinking that someone is taking the money and not using it for the right cause. But now the charity is all set up, I'll put a link in the description below. So if you have any spare money or any spare change, even if it's £1 or £5, please contribute, because it will help raise money which will go towards helping these kids. And yeah, I thought I should tell you guys all about it, because I didn't realize that setting up a charity is far more complex and far more difficult than setting up a company. I've set up so many companies in my life, set up banks and various organizations all around the world, and it's much easier than setting a charity. Amount of forms you have to fill and amount of explanations and justifications you have to give. But I'm glad that it's done, and hopefully it will change the lives of some kids out there. So I'm also interested in someone who can make a very beautiful website for the charity. Obviously can't pay you because we don't have any money at the moment. We're putting our own money into doing these things, but you can do something for a good cause. I created the website myself using Google Sites, but I think it would be nice to have more of a professional website for it. What I'm trying to do is to not waste money in anything that I can possibly prevent, so all the money goes towards these children, and it's not like one of those charities where only 15-20% is going towards the cause and the rest of it is lost in the operations and running of the charity. So the idea is to keep it as light as possible and make sure that those who deserve get all the benefit. Thanks for watching. Hope you will contribute and hope this will help people.